So Forrest and I recently had a chance to explore the largest cave in the world. What did they say? More people have been to the top of Everest than have been in this cave, which was
Yep.
only discovered in the last 15 years
Hang
in
Son
Vietnam.
Doong.
Son Doong. So that's a pretty cool photo of actually what makes this cave so awesome and why we wanted to go. Is the fact that the roof collapsed in several places, but there was one huge collapse of the roof in this cave, and a rainforest grew up in the middle of a cave.
Yep.
It's pretty fucking amazing.
It's a
Yes, we've got some.
6-mile
looks
long
amazing.
cave that you can
Yeah,
fit
that's
the
crazy.
the Empire State Building in, standing upright. That's how big. Like, to try and understand the scope of it. Like, this is what I was told, right? And
Wow.
it's not like it's made up, but I was told it's 6 miles long, and in certain places, the Empire State Building can stand up vertically inside of it. I'm like, cool, yeah, that's big. You have no idea how fucking big that is. Like, 6 miles, and the Empire State
Yeah,
Building,
that's-
like, it's insane. Anyway, please continue, Patrick.
Yeah, we have
Sorry,
some behind the
I get
scenes
excited.
video. We're just going to kind of talk about it. A lot of the Brosters, we've mentioned it previously on a podcast, are very interested in this. Because, when this was sort of discovered, I think it was like '07 or was it '09? I can't remember. But
Something like that, yeah.
Photos went around. It went kind of viral. And it's just one of those things that I think are on a lot of people's bucket lists. And I would say it was not a disappointment. Like,
No,
getting to
absolutely not.
Vietnam, getting to where you need to go, trekking, I don't know, what was it, maybe 10 miles just to get to the mouth,
Totally.
covered
yeah,
in
it's huge.
leeches the entire time, was well worth it. Was well worth
Yeah.
spending 4 or 5 days in there.
It's incredible.
What are you doing there, Forrest?
Yeah, so let's see. We got the camera guys over on the right, and I'm standing on top of a thing called the wedding cake. And there's Mitchell. Oh, yeah, I remember Mitch got a Vietnamese haircut. That was nice. Yeah, and everybody's taking a break, and I'm checking out this spire of rock called the wedding cake. It's very famous, and it's one of the most incredible looking things I've ever seen in the natural world. And unfortunately, you're seeing kind of the back of it. But to the
Yeah,
left
yeah.
of where I am there is just, this is one of the regions where the roof cave collapsed, and it's just this blackness, this, 300, 400, 500, I don't know how many feet tall opening of this black mouth that then just goes for miles and miles and days before you see light again. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Dude, there were all sorts of critters in there too. Like,
Wow.
Yep.
lots of different sort of things that had no pigment, fish. It's like, how the fuck did they get in? Dude,
It's unbelievable.
In one of the openings, one of the big openings where the roof caved in, there was a giant, there's a bomb that hadn't detonated.
That's right.
That had been
Yep.
dropped off a plane during the
No
Vietnam
shit.
The
War.
Vietnamese War. Yep. Exactly.
Just like it was sort of grown over it, but there was just a big like bomb the size of a desk.
Yeah, and we
Wow.
found a new species of snail,
That's
one that had
fucking
never been categorized before. We found these loaches, which is like a common aquarium fish, blind cave loaches, pure white, so they lost all their pigment in their skin. They literally de-evolved their eyes. So fish came along, crawled up the evolutionary tree, created eyes so that they could see to hunt things. Then, a handful of them got washed down into this cave system where there was no light, and then they, over generations, lost their eyes because their body just didn't need to exert that energy. I mean, incredible creatures that lived in this cave. And yeah, so that's what I was just standing on. You can see the spire on the right, like in the center of the frame. That's what I was standing on, and this is from that other
yeah.
perspective. So this is looking back up at it from within the cave, and it's just, I mean, you can kind of see me. There's like a little speck up there. That little tiny dot, that's a person, to understand how big this cave is. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it looks massive, man. Just absolutely huge. So did they discover like any new species in there? I mean, like you said, there's these fish that have evolved to be able to, they don't
Yeah.
need eyes, so they don't have them. Any other like just crazy species?
So we were
what
looking
you guys
for
doing there
a forest-dwelling
to begin
ungulate
with?
species called the saola, the Asian unicorn. Yeah, we've spoken about it
Oh,
before. Beautiful,
that's right.
incredible animal. And, basically our thought process was, the Annamite mountain range where that animal lives is just like so hammered with poaching and snares and, like no enforcement for wildlife conservation. And so we're just like, Jesus Christ, like where can we go that a saola could escape this kind of prosecution? And then we had this idea that maybe the third opening, the third area where the roof collapsed of the 6 mile long cave system is a rainforest, like a standalone, isolated rainforest. And what you realize is any saola that got down there, whether it fell down there or came in from a cave entrance somewhere or whatever, would be stuck there, right? And potentially there could be an isolated population in this rainforest. I mean, that's how big this cave is, like in this rainforest within this cave system. It's like something out of Land of the Lost. And so we were looking for evidence of
like
the
it.
saola in this remote piece of jungle, which was pretty cool.
Man, it's crazy, but it's interesting to hear how you guys came up with that one though, because I didn't know that. I mean, I just figured you wanted to go to some cool ass fucking cave that just got discovered in Vietnam. But
of course, yeah, there's a reason
actual,
behind it.
The actual thought
The
process
thing I think
behind it
that
is interesting. Yeah,
nobody knows about, and unless you follow me really closely on Instagram and watch one of my stories, a week later, is what Patrick and the guys facilitated for me. And what I mean by that, this is a real behind the scenes moment. So I had my 31st or 32nd birthday in the cave. Literally, woke up in pitch black, and it was March 31st. It was my birthday, and I was like, cool, it's my birthday. Didn't like. In fact, I'm not even sure if I remembered it was my birthday. Nobody said anything. You're fucking a bunch of adult men. You don't make a fuss about another man's birthday. Like that's lunacy. Hiked for the day.
yeah.
There's none of that nonsense
birthday
going on.
week.
Got on with the shoot, hiked for the day, looked for animals, whatever, and then made it to like base camp for that night of March 31st of my birthday. And like everybody puts up their tent, and you kind of like collapse with exhaustion, and like have 5 minutes to yourself, and then like dinner time, like the guys that we were with create dinner or whatever. And again, like this is getting to be a very long story, but I was just so blown away by this. Like go and sit down at dinner. I've literally forgotten it's my birthday. And like eat a nice meal and like just the same kind of shit we always do. Like we got some noodles and some rice, and hey, tomorrow's gonna be a bitch, and sleep well and all that kind of thing. And then all of a fucking sudden, this little light star. Well, first of all, I remember Mitch, because he's terrible at keeping secrets, was weird about saying. He was like, sit here. And I was like, okay. He's like, sit here. And I was like, all right, Mitch, I'll sit here. And
Mitch impression.
And then I look, and like this cave is, it's just blackness in every direction. That's all you see. And all of a sudden, I just see this little like twinkle light. This is a pretty little twinkle light, and it's like growing. The twinkle light's getting bigger. And I'm like, what's going on? And this cave, this sparkler is approaching out of the blackness and coming towards me. And I'm like, oh, cute, a sparkler. And everybody's like, happy birthday to you. I'm like, oh, the guys remembered. That's dope. And then I realize that underneath said sparkler is a full, beautiful, massive fucking chocolate cake. And we're in a fucking cave, like 5 days from anything at all. Like in the middle of fucking nowhere, and this guy's coming walking out with this beautiful fucking frosted cake with sparklers on it, and I'm like, what the fuck? How did you guys bake a cake? And did you bring an oven with you? Like, what is going on? And so, like, I was blown away. Like, I literally, like, I was, like, emotional. I was so grateful that these guys managed to facilitate. 2 bottles of champagne. There it is. There's the cake with the sparklers on it. Like, look at my face. Like, I am just blown away by this.
Yeah, you were way happier than I
so
thought
happy.
you were going to be. Like, I thought you were like, oh, this is really cool. Thanks, guys. Yeah, you were stoked. I think everyone else was probably more stoked about that red wine and champagne that showed up with it.
We'll play it because
Who's
you can mute it. It's just them singing "Happy Birthday." But dude, the thing that blew my mind is that, and Patrick, you should explain it because you helped facilitate it. Is how they got a cake to me in the cave and cold fucking beer and wine. Like, dude, we'd eaten nothing but rice for 5 days straight, and I'm not saying the food was bad, but it was camp food.
Yeah.
And this beautiful cake, frosted Happy Birthday Forrest, calligraphied on top of it with these fucking sparklers, and these bottles of red wines show up. Anyway, and then I'm like, we eat the cake, we celebrate. Like, look at me, I'm elated. And then I'm like, how did you guys get a fucking cake in here?
Dude,
and
you
anyway,
look
Patrick,
stoked.
take it from there because I couldn't believe it.
Well, one of the
how'd you get this
guys,
cake in?
so we had porters, right? And they helped carry things like generators and things like that. And we were like, oh, it's
So
Forrest's
good.
birthday, shit. So we asked one of the porters, we were like, all right, this is kind of a big ask, but would it be possible for you to do the 15-mile hike back to town get a cake and some booze and then hike it back 15 miles. And he's like, sure. I was like, but like, how much would you want extra for that? And he's like, it's my job. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what if we give you like would $200 make it like less shitty for you? He's like, I'm happy to do it either way. We're like, oh, all right. So the dude, first of all, to get out, you have to do a 300-foot multi-pitch rock climb to get out.
It's brutal.
But I mean, these guys do it.
Dude, that's crazy.
These guys do this trip, 15 times a year. He's just like, sure. So he climbed a 300-foot rock wall, hiked 15 miles, got a cake and some booze, brought it back.
But can you just picture this fucking guy, right? Like, here's this fucking guy, this awesome little fucking Vietnamese dude, and he's rappelling. Like, to get into the cave, you rappel 300 feet down like a dried up waterfall. That's how you get into the cave. Not like, hey, walk down a ladder or like, dude, I can't get I'm not even kidding. I cannot get a fucking cake home from Vaughn's to my house without there being frosting all fucking smashed up against the side of the thing. This guy fucking rappels down a 300-foot dried up waterfall with one of those nice little like pink cardboard baker's boxes.
Yeah, it was like the classic donut box.
Yeah, with the perfect fucking, there's not one bit of frosting on the fucking sidewall of this thing. I mean, it's immaculate. He fucking rappels down this thing, I'm guessing hands free, which is impossible. Then fucking climbs through like all these boulders, dude. Yeah. It's just like, there's no walking. Like, it's not like, hey, take a stroll down this path. It's like climb, hike, go through a squeeze, go up a pitch, boulder over this, and he does this for fucking 15 miles with a cake in his hands, and we're so fucking badass, dude. We're doing the cave, like more people have done the top of Everest than this. This guy comes running in his fucking flip flops with a cake. Yeah, perfect. Like it blew my mind that these guys put this together, dude.
That's another thing that was really interesting is that the rocks are so jagged, and you're pretty much they're these like little pinnacle type rocks. So for a lot of the interior of the cave, you're basically stepping on like sharp tops of rocks. Knowing that if you fall, like, it's going to be terrible, right? And you just kind of have to not think about it because you're like, if I fall, my hands are going onto this is going to be a catastrophe. Yeah. And all of the locals that do it all the time, they were all essentially hiking in like whatever their handmade, essentially tevas. It's like what they were hiking
straight up
in sandals. We all had like really hard boots, and we're complaining about how much our feet hurt, and they all were just hop like billy goats in fucking sandals.
It was bonkers. Yeah.
That's wild, man. So when you get the cake, cake gets there, you're obviously floored. The look on your face I've never seen you look happier than in that video. Now the whole crew has some booze at the table. So this guy also carried
beer
a
and wine.
a bunch of bottles of wine and beer.
Yeah.
I saw how excited everybody. Pat, you're right. I think everybody was they couldn't wait to crack open that wine and shit. So you guys were in this cave, and then did you just party?
The word party is used loosely. We drank all of the wine and beer, which was like 2 to 2.5 drinks per person.
Exactly.
Each ate a slice of cake, and we're asleep by 8:30. But it was in the cave,
camping. In the cave,
we loved
though,
it, dude.
Right?
It was phenomenal, man. Best
that's
birthday.
Incredible.
Fucking best birthday I've ever had and there's nothing will ever top that, man. Nobody's ever gonna go to the trouble of hiking in, fucking rappelling, climbing through squeezes, everything else, a cake in a baker's box for me day of. I mean, my mind was blown, man. Best birthday I've ever had.
So for people who are interested in this, you can do it. They do take groups in of just just if you want to go do some tourism. It's pretty expensive. What do you think? Well worth it? Well worth the $6,000 or whatever plus the plane ticket?
Mind blowing. Like if don't
Agreed.
Like, here's the thing, right? People always like the text, the message, the Instagram I get that pisses me off. I don't want to dog like this too much. Is like must be nice. It's like, hey, do you drive a car? Cool. Because I didn't drive a car for like 8 years. I didn't have a car, right? Because all my money went towards travel and wildlife and stuff like that. Don't buy the car in 2021, right? Don't buy a car. Right. Go to fucking Son Doong Cave. Because one of those two things is going to last you a lifetime. That memory of doing that cave is going to change your life the way it changed ours, and the car won't. The car will still be there in 2022. And that's like, I'm not saying it's that easy. I understand people have financial restraints and things, but at the end of the day, if you make things like that a priority, you can do them, and they stick with you your whole life.
Love you
100%.
guys.
Happy birthday, me.